Height, very important. If you go to the bar and you're 6'4", you're getting noticed. When you're Coach Greg and nobody sees you, this is what girls see when I'm at the bar. They see my hairline. That's it. They're so tall. But if you're 6'4", even if you're fat, at least you're getting noticed. You see him. You can see the head walking through the bar. Coach Greg walks through the bar. You don't even see me. I'm covered up behind that fat guy. And so they at least get noticed.
Now, there's a very big factor to this. You need to make sure that you're attractive, or at the very least that you're average. Because as a tall guy, just like Coach Greg said, people will never miss you. So if one day, you don't feel like dressing up, you look very ugly, people will notice you, man. So this kind of goes in both ways, but assuming, you dress well, assuming you look average at the very least, assuming you go to the gym, looks maxing, this is one of the biggest reasons why being tall is so important in this day and age, that, especially with girls, they get hundreds of DMs.
Sometimes when I open TikTok and I see that I have 99 plus notifications, I am like, ew.
A lot of guys are just straight up invisible to girls. When you're tall, at the very least, she notices you. When I walk through the city to my university, at the very least, I know I sound pathetic as hell, but at the very least, when I walk past the girl, she's on her phone, she will always, 99% of the time, she will look up, because from the corner of her eye, she will see a very big frame walking, towards her or past her or whatever it is. But the point is, if you're tall, people will notice you, and it's very important in this day and age to be noticed, because most guys are just straight up invisible. The second point I basically want to add to the first point, which is that being tall increases your SMV by about 1 to 2 points. So I am very average in the face. In fact, I would say before I had my hair transplant, I was below average in the face, because even though I have quite a good eye area, I have a pretty weak jaw area, and then I was also balding. So that means that my face only had one, quote-unquote attractive part. But that doesn't really matter, because a girl will pick out a red flag first before she even looks at any of the green flags. And if you have too many red flags, then you're just deemed ugly. So even though I was technically ugly, I still managed to attract a decent amount of women. Now sure, you can say, oh, I fumbled the bag and everything, which is... that's fine, that's cool. But right now we're just talking about, attracting women. And most guys can't even do that. Most guys can't even get their foot in the door. They can't even attract a girl. And I believe the only reason, I genuinely say this, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like, oh, it's because of the way I dress. I genuinely believe the only reason why I've managed to attract girls at all is because of my height. If I wasn't 6'4", bro, it would have been completely... it's still over, let's be honest there. But if I wasn't 6'4", it would have been wrapped. I would have just wrapped it up, went home, never would go outside, just sit inside just to save myself from all the drama. But yeah, I realized that because of tall, I can, leverage my SMV. And this goes for any tall guy. If you're tall, all you need to do is look average in the face, that's it. You need to be average in the face, and that automatically makes you a 6 out of 10. Now, I know a 6 out of 10 doesn't sound as high, but that's because the ratings that you've been hearing your entire life are skewed. A lot of these normies, they say, oh, I'm a 7 out of 10, a 7 out of 10. If you actually look at a bell curve, a 7 out of 10, that's high. A 7 out of 10, we're almost in the model area. We're almost in the model territory. If we're 7 out of 10, bro, you're gonna be a high tier normie. You're gonna be a Chad Light at that point. So if you're a 6 out of 10, you're already in the top 13% of men. You've read that stat that girls are only in the top 20% of men. Well, that's all it takes, is you need to be a 6 out of 10. And being tall basically guarantees that at the very least you're a 6 out of 10. As long as your face is average. Obviously, if you have a handsome face, then it's very easy to jump into the 7, the 8, or even the 9 ranges. But that's how important being tall is. That's why I really want to emphasize how... being tall is such a big SMV boost. The next point I want to make about being tall is that taller men are also historically leaders. You can see this back throughout many stats, the fact that tall men just make more money because people just look up to tall people, both literally and figuratively. Isn't it crazy that men who are over 6 foot are a big minority in the world, but the vast majority of CEOs are over 6 foot? Isn't that just weird? Because I think that's fucking weird. Another way of looking at it is, looking at the presidents of the US. On average, US presidents are way taller than the average US citizen. And, this just goes back to what I said, right? Taller people are perceived as leaders. That's just the way it is. People they just look up to you for no reason. I mean, when I walk to a city, people just hold doors for me randomly. They get out of the way. That's something that I've noticed. Like, this one girl once said that to me, which ever since then I always pay attention to it. But, I was walking back towards the bus station with her, and she made this comment how when she's walking alone, she always has to like zigzag through the crowd like a snake almost. That day when she walked beside me, she could just walk straight. She didn't need to, go to the left, go to the right. And it made me think why that is. And obviously, I believe it just comes down to being tall. Because I've also heard other tall people describe this, that, yeah, when you're tall, people just, I don't know, they just look up to you for no reason. They just do stuff for you for no reason. Now, the final thing I want to say about being tall is the whole Tinder stuff, because dating is, huge. It's becoming bigger and bigger. And I believe it's already the most common way people meet, but in case it's not, it's definitely going to be in the future. And when you're tall, Tinder is literally easy mode, because height is such an objective thing. You don't have to, measure it. That's the issue with the face. I know people can very quickly tell if you have an attractive or an ugly face. But let's say you're average, right? Let's say you're average Joe Schmo. If average Joe Schmo is 6'4", 6'5", he's still gonna attract quite a lot of girls. Even on Tinder, he's still gonna get quite a lot of matches. Because again, it's such an objective thing that, when I made my Tinder account once, I just did it for the memes. I didn't mean to meet anyone or whatever. But I made a Tinder account in my second year of university, and I posted a few pictures, and one of them was a thirst trap with a six-pack and everything. But in my bio, I put that, oh, I'm a law student and I'm 6'4", and all that cringy shit that girls look at. Even though they say, oh, we're not shallow, you and me both know that's what they look at. So I put that in my bio, and guess what? I got 7 or 8 matches that day, and the second girl I messaged literally wanted to meet up and hook up and do all that bullshit, but I just ghosted her because I just made it as a meme. But the point is, that's how hard height increases your SMV, as I've constantly been saying. But enough about height. We've talked enough about it. Let's go talk about face. Now, the problem with having a handsome face is that it's very subjective. As I said earlier, I can just tell you my height, and you can already imagine in your head how tall I am, right? If I tell you I'm 6'4", you can just go to an object that's 6'4", measure it, and be like, oh yeah, that's how tall a real would be on average. But if I tell you I have a handsome face, which I don't, but if I had, you wouldn't know. There's so many different varieties of handsome faces, So it's hard to objectively measure how much, what is a handsome face in the first place, but in the second place, how much you can leverage it. Having said all that, the first thing being handsome, assuming, the handsome guy's the Giga Chad, right? He has the wide jawline, the thick brow ridge, full head of hair, hunter eyes, he has the full package. Let's just assume he's that guy. Attractive men can do what tall men can do on Tinder, but everywhere. An attractive guy can make an Instagram account, can make a YouTube account, can be in a movie, can be a Hollywood star. As long as he has a handsome face, he will get attention anywhere. Because online you can't see height. Online you can only see their faces. This is also why Alpha M, in case you don't know him, he's this dating coach, I believe, but he's a very short guy. Now, I can guarantee you that if Alpha M was tall but ugly, nobody would listen to him. Nobody would listen to him. Because they would look at his face and be like, nah, that guy doesn't attract girls. But because he's quite a handsome guy, people listen to him. And it's only those autists online who are looking up, oh, how tall is Alpha M? But the vast majority of normies who just, put on an Alpha M video, they just see a handsome guy and they believe, oh yeah, that guy definitely attracts women. Even though he's I don't know what height he is, 5'3", 4, 5'5", whatever he is. They don't care that he's short because he looks good. He has a handsome face. That's all that matters. And that's why he's managed to build such a big audience, because if you have a handsome face, people just listen to you, people just believe you. I mean, if you still don't believe me, being ugly literally hurts you so much in the social media day and age. There's plenty of examples of this. There's Dream, who technically isn't ugly, but because all the fangirls had such a high expectation, him being average is still quote-unquote ugly. There's Daisy, in case you don't know him. He was like this professional gamer, and you know, once he showed his face, he had a very deformed face, let's just say it that way. He got a lot of haters because of that, which, you know, got him depressed and all that stuff. And next thing you know, he basically quit gaming, quit his entire career essentially. Like, I still believe he streams on Twitch, whatever, but he's not part of a pro team anymore. He's not, you know, making all that money through all these sponsors anymore because he's ugly. And there's plenty more examples I can name, right? Like Mitten Squad, there's plenty more. Being ugly can literally destroy your online presence, your social media. And it's the other way around for being attractive. Being attractive can literally boost the shit out of your online presence just because you're attractive. It doesn't matter if you're actually knowledgeable about the stuff you're talking about. As long as you have a good face, people just listen. I mean, if you still don't believe me, just look at any video when some inkwell is talking about, oh, how being lonely sucks and, you know, he gets no girls. The video doesn't even get 10k views. The videos don't even get 5k views. They struggle to get 2k views. But every single time, you know, you look up a video about being lonely and you see some average looking woman or some average looking man talking about how being lonely sucks, the video goes viral instantly. You know, all the normies are like, oh, that's so relatable. Because face matters. And this is such a huge advantage being handsome as. Now, the second point that I kind of already mentioned at the first point is that people listen to you when you're handsome. So a big issue when you're ugly, a big issue basically when people judge your face, is that they will quickly pick out, you know, what's bad about your face, right? They'll pick out red flags. So I found this video of this dude called How to Command Respect at Work. Now usually this channel has his comments on open. Usually everyone can see the comments, you know, they're public. But for this one video, the comments are turned off. I don't think I need to explain to you why that is. I mean, I'll have the video play in the background, but I don't want to be an asshole, but I think you and I, we both know why the comments are disabled, right? We both know. And it's because the guy isn't handsome. It's because the guy isn't good looking. And when you're not good looking, people just don't listen. And I've watched the full video, by the way. Some of the stuff he says is honestly right. Some of the stuff he says, if Brad Pitt told you this, you would listen. You'd say, oh yeah, he's right. But because this guy is telling it to you, you don't listen because he's not handsome, because he's ugly. So I know it sounds like height is more important because I've backed it up with all these claims, with all these studies. But it's like I said, height is such an objective thing. It's very easy to study, whereas face isn't. And this is why I'm gonna say face is just more important than height, because if you think about it, right, with a good face, you can do so much. With good height, obviously, you know, there's also a bunch of benefits, but if you have a very good looking face, if you're a handsome man in this day and age, you can literally make money online, spewing generic garbage advice to normies and they believe it. Life has always been easy when you're good looking. Pretty privilege has always existed, but it's never been this OP. Pretty privilege has never been as overpowered as it is in this day and age. In this day and age, handsome man can literally make money online just by being handsome. So while being tall gives you a bunch of benefits in your day-to-day life, it doesn't really matter that much when you realize that we live in a chronically online generation where online presence is way more important than your real life. In real life, everybody's a fucking NPC, it doesn't matter. What matters is you can gather some online presence, that you can get, you know, a few thousand subscribers, a few thousand followers and sell them some product. And if you're handsome, this is such an easy tactic to pull off. It doesn't matter what you say, you just have to sound a little bit knowledgeable. But because you're handsome, normies will eat it up and buy your product. And because of that, you become rich. So yeah, face beats height at the end of the day. But yeah, that's the video, man. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like and a comment. Other than that, that's the video.